Step 40, day 3 embryo transfer. Generally, embryos should not be transferred on day 2 or day 3 because of two reasons. One, you cannot tell which embryo is of highest quality, and the second is embryo should not land in the uterus normally until day 5 or day 6. And let us say if you see a lot of healthy looking embryos on day 2 or day 3, so a lot of these embryos do not become high-grade embryos. Half of those embryos do not become high-grade embryos. You don't know whether the embryo you transferred is the best among other embryos you have on day 2 or day 3. Second reason is normally embryos come into the uterus on day 5 or day 6 of their development. So first 5 days of development, embryos develop in the fallopian tube, which has got different environment to the uterus. So the incubators of IVF units are designed to mimic the fallopian tube. So, and their embryos are better off to be kept in the incubator, which mimics fallopian tube environment, than in the uterus, because even if you transfer embryos on day 2 or day 3, those embryos cannot implant until they hatch, which happens on day 6. So the embryos will stay in the uterus, which is wrong environment, from second or third day of development, and they need to develop to hatching, which is day 6, then implant in the uterus. From that point of view, embryos should be transferred in the blastocyst stage. Still, some patients request to do day 2 or day 3 transfer. We sometimes do the transfer on day 2 or day 3, and I will explain how we assess the quality of embryos if you're transferring on day 2 or day 3. Essentially, there are 3 grades on day 2 or day 3 embryos. Grade 1 is the highest grade, grade 2 is fair grade, grade 3 is a poor grade embryos. Let us say on day 2, high grade embryos or grade 1 embryos should have 4 cells. On day 3, high grade embryos should have 8 cells. And then these embryos should have less than 10% fragments around them, which means scattered egg cells, broken egg cells around them, surrounding, should be less than 10%. Then cell sizes should be even in terms of size, and it should be specific to their stage, which means if it's day 2, size should be specific to day 2. And also, you should not have any multinucleation on the cells. Let us say you have got 4 cells on day 2. Each cell should have 1 nucleus. If you have 2-3 nucleus in each cell, that means that's not high-grade embryo. Fair grade embryo or grade 2 embryo on day 2 may have less than 4 cells. On day 3, 6, 7, 9 or 10 cells. And then fragmentation should be 10 to 25%. And so in terms of cell size, majority of cells should be cell specific and even. And also in terms of multinucleation, you should not see any clear sign of multinucleation. In poor grade embryos, day 2 embryos should have less than 4 cells. On day 3, embryos should have less than 6 cells, and then you should see more than 25% of fragmentation. And then cell sizes should not be stage specific, and you should see a lot of multinucleation. According to these categories, you can categorize embryos into high grade, fair grade, poor grade, and you try and select highest grade embryo on that day for the transfer. In all other remaining embryos, then you leave in the incubator for further growth till blastocyst. If some embryos become high grade blastocyst, then you freeze those embryos at the blastocyst stage.